Friends, to another edition of Smarknado. I'm your host, Eric Druckman. With me, as always, the Danaconda, Dirty Dan Sesnit. Dan, how's your Friday afternoon treating you? Actually, Friday evening, we're at this point.
Early Friday evening, we're here online with you folks. It's good, man. Wrestling is good. Um, this past week we had some top-notch shit go down. But yeah, life is good, man. I have the weekend off, which is unusual in my industry these days. But yeah.
Good stuff, man. Yeah, got a nice weekend ahead. Went away last weekend for a friend's going away party in stayed in Long Island, but was out there for the party in Queens. But a good time overall. It's
Right on.
been hot as all fuck
Oh,
in upstate New York the last
well,
three days.
welcome to. It's been hot as fuck for the last 3 years for me. So,
Yeah,
welcome to my life.
it was like not safe to go outside.
Oh, really? Has it been that bad?
Yeah, yeah.
Huh. Okay.
Went up to like 98 degrees. Great
And
band from the 90s.
yeah, Nick Lachey.
Yeah.
Let's do this.
Shout out Nick Lachey if you're listening right now. More than likely he is.
If he's not, he's missing
him and the
out.
boys just like to get together and listen to Smarknado.
I wholeheartedly believe that.
I believe it too.
With my whole chest.
And same with Nick Carter and his boys.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. We're really big on the old boy band circuit.
Yeah. And I'm pretty sure that Justin Timberlake, when he got his DWI, was listening to Smarknado. He was just very, very involved in an intense conversation that me and Dan were having about the G1, and he got pulled over.
He was listening to the archives apparently, because we haven't talked G1 yet. But
I know.
Sure
I was just saying, like an
that.
example of what we would be doing.
Yes.
But I digress. There were a lot of cool things that happened in wrestling this week. Let's just talk right off the bat with the thing that everyone has been talking about. Hawk Tuah. Now, what do you think of this girl that's just kind of taken over the entire country?
Bro, I'm old. What are you even talking about?
You haven't seen this video?
See, here's the thing. I've seen the memes. I haven't seen the actual video. So truthfully, I don't know what the fuck the context is.
It's like 5 seconds long.
Oh,
you'll understand the context. You will.
No, I genuinely have no idea what the context is.
All I gotta say,
and I'm old.
This is the last tangent that we'll go on. But
is it?
Yeah, it is. Well, okay, I can't really hold myself to that, but I'll just say this: I never saw a meme made so aggressively about somebody since that police officer that liked to get a little promiscuous.
Oh, I know who you're talking about. Yeah.
Yeah.
I guess I'll have to pay better attention to the memes that I'm digesting.
Well, let's just say, all right, so let's talk about the viral wrestling thing that's been going on this week. We finally got the debut of the Wyatt Six, which is a stable name that we've heard tossed around for a while. A lot of theories on what it could be, who was going to be involved with it. I remember early on in the Wyatt Six discussion, they were thinking about bringing in Dutch and Vincent.
Correct.
To be a part of this. We got a different incarnation here. So basically what happened, I mean, everyone who's listening right now, I assume you've seen it. They terrorized the entire backstage area of WWE Raw. It took out a lot of extra talent. I do want to say that, on an initial reaction, some people said that they took out Braun Strowman and Gunther. I guess that's untrue. It was actually extra talent that looked like them. So take it at that. But notably, it sure as hell looked like there was a gunshot wound in Chad Gable's head.
or a stab wound or something.
I don't know.
They murdered a human being.
Yeah, he as a result of Chad Gable being murdered, he's not going to be able to compete next week in the Money in the Bank qualifier because apparently you need to be alive for a match like that.
So to me, this
Undertaker's competed before though, so
it's literally just reeks of like contract actually running out. Like I thought he just renewed his contract. Like what just happened here?
It's been heavily reported that he did resign.
No, I know that, but like this seems like okay, you're off TV now. Like bye. This is how they should have done Ricochet.
Let's just dive into this.
Ricochet should have been killed this way.
Sure. Let's just dive in and like talk about what we think is going to happen, what our theories are, what everything, you know. So like with Chad Gable being taken out here, do you think that this could potentially lead to a Chad Gable, like a dark Chad Gable return, where he is a part of this gang of the Wyatt Six?
I don't.
You don't? Okay. No. So what do you think this like actually leads to with Chad Gable specifically?
I don't know, and here is the problem with this, right? How do you follow that up, right? Like they just murdered a group of people. Now, like, are they gonna be doing hammerlocks? Like, it doesn't like it's gonna be hard to figure out where they're gonna go with it because
exactly.
The build up and the introduction were everything. Now 100%, what? 100%. Now what?
Like, yes, that's the biggest prevailing concern that I have after seeing that. Because don't get me wrong, I loved every minute of it. I thought it was a hell of production. I thought that they did an absolutely excellent job,
particularly Nikki Cross, in my opinion.
Yeah, Nikki Cross did great, and I think that just hats off to the production team with just how much they have stepped up with everything that they've been doing. But yeah, it's just kind of like, what happens when the bell rings? What happen? Like, who is going to? Is this going to be a retribution situation? That's what makes me fearful. You know,
that's a really apt comparison because I don't think that could happen very easily.
And it's like, I don't think the execution could have been worse with retribution. So I certainly have some faith that this group is going to be better and more impactful than retribution was, just because they're not under the same regime that they once were, and they're not creating a stable because an old man saw Antifa on Fox News.
We know who these people are. We should be able to see their faces and understand that they wrestle as these people that we once knew. That's my opinion. That's the way I think it should go. They're not going to wrestle in these masks, and I don't think you're going to see them wrestle for a long time.
I think that would be a smart play. I think they need to keep this mystique going as long as possible.
So, like, I wouldn't even. I hope they're not on SmackDown this week.
Mm-hmm.
Truthfully, I'm going to watch in case they are, but.
Well, they were on the Pat McAfee show this week.
They were. Well, at least they interrupted the Pat McAfee show this week. So that seems likely that they'll probably be on SmackDown in some shape, form, or fashion. But I hope they're not. Like I said, I don't want it to wear thin too quickly.
Mm-hmm.
Especially if they do the same thing over and over, which
I agree.
It can happen. Even in WWE today, it can still happen.
Yeah. I mean, my hope for this is a Bray Wyatt vision that will be seen all the way through. And it will be without any sort of interruption out of like pettiness that we once had with Vince McMahon, you know? So let's just, I'm going to give it a chance. I don't really have, I guess what I'll say is like, I don't have the highest hopes in terms of what they're going to bring to the ring. I think that The only two people that I really think are great in ring workers are Nikki Cross and Joe Gacy. I don't really see it with Loomis. I don't see it with Bo Dallas. And I
Bo
certainly,
Dallas is okay. Bo
yeah,
Dallas is okay, and I think that you could put Rowan and Loomis in a tag team,
yeah, that's true. That does work. That does work.
right?
And I guess like Rowan can work as a big man,
Yeah,
but like he's not. I don't know. He was definitely the odd man out in the Wyatt family. Uh,
yeah. I mean, but those were two, very, very unique talents,
mhm,
uniquely talented individuals in Brody Lee and Bray Wyatt. So,
mhm,
it's hard to shine next to them. It was
yeah,
hard. It was hard enough for Brody Lee to shine next to Bray in
Bray Wyatt.
WWE.
Hmm.
So, how much more difficult would it be to be Rowan there? So hopefully he gets a little bit more shine this go round because we all know, I mean, it's pretty been made widely known that he is very, very, very close with Bray. So I assume Bray had a vision for him in this stable.
Yeah, absolutely. So overall, I'm happy to see him back. I just think that this whole thing was like great cinema. Um, all those bodies on the floor and this ragtag group, like I think we also need to just face the reality that like with these kind of band of misfits type groups that have ever been presented on WWE, typically they don't really work out for whatever reason. I mean, we've seen it before with Sanity. We saw it with obviously I mentioned before Retribution.
Yeah.
Um, so like for this to work, they really to me need to kind of think outside the box and not make the same mistakes twice.
And maybe it doesn't need to be a really long term thing either.
Hmm.
You know what I mean? Maybe it's not something that's meant to last forever, right?
Maybe not.
You know, burn hot and flame out fast, which is not necessarily the worst. You don't overstay your welcome with something like this, especially, I mean, we all know WWE is not wrestling, it's sports entertainment, but you still have to wrestle at some point. So if you're not going to do that, you're going to burn out real fast with
It's certainly
a
more
section of
wrestling than
fans.
it's been in years. So,
Yes, but you would still burn out with a section of fans if you're not wrestling.
hmm,
That's all.
I totally agree, man. So, um, I guess at the end of the day, I would just say I'm gonna give this a chance,
Yeah.
and I really do hope for the best. But I do have some fears.
Have you seen the merch yet?
Yeah, I saw it.
Yeah. It's not great.
Yeah, it's not good. It just got that logo. I think the logo is kind of cool.
Yeah, it's
I like
kind of cool.
I wouldn't run out and get a shirt yet,
No,
or
I want
really,
to see what else
I'm not
comes
gonna
out.
get a shirt at all.
You
But
know what's really, really sad, and I don't. Here goes a tangent, but like
mhm.
the state of wrestling merchandise lately has not been great.
I've I agree with you there, and I've been very select t-shirts that I'll go out and buy. Like I really liked that ZSJ one that I got this past year.
Yeah.
I like a lot of independent designers and what they're doing.
The independent designers, yeah, but I'll
Yeah.
tell you, AEW started out really good with shirts, and now their shirts are not great. WWE, they're hit or miss with most of their stuff.
Hmm. The
So
Ilya Dragunov shirt's sick.
I haven't seen that
It's
one.
like
I'm
a
actually.
roots of fight shirt.
Oh, really? I'm like
Yeah.
scrolling through it right now. I haven't seen all of them,
Hmm.
um, but yeah, I mean, so generally it's just not that good. Wow, this Braun Breaker shirt is kind of horribly good, but
Really,
yeah,
I think Braun Breaker has some absolutely terrible attire right now.
terrible attire, bad tattoo. Oh, I like that
Yeah.
Randy Orton shirt. But anyway, we
Mhm.
can continue on. I was just wanted to state my piece by about the fact that I haven't been able to buy a shirt in a really long time because nothing has struck my fancy.
Well, hopefully your fancy is struck at some point soon, Dan. We're all rooting for you here.
WWE's having a good sale right now.
Are they? Well, what's the deal?
It's 25% off for the next 5 hours.
Okay.
So,
Are you gonna
that
buy?
is a good.
Nothing's tickling your fancy.
That Dragunov shirt actually is very good, and it's on sale too. Well, thanks, Eric.
I own that.
Mhm.
And if we're ever wearing it at the same time during the show, so help me fucking God.
That'll be awesome.
Yeah. It'd be twins.
Twinsies.
I
All
mean,
right,
just
what are we
kidding.
talking about next?
Let's talk about NXT because
Okay.
obviously they're working with TNA right now. There's a lot of buzz around them. And let's just let me just say this. Based on the announcement that Cody made last week about TNA wrestlers being in the NXT Battle Royal,
Uh-huh.
and also paired with the fact that we had like our top 5 TNA NXT crossover matches, I had a much higher expectation of what the TNA presentation was going to be this week on NXT. Um,
You mean only two people being in the battle royal from TNA
yeah, something like
wasn't quite
that.
what you were
Well,
expecting?
first of all, Kazarian didn't even get an entrance. You just kind of had to see that he was in the battle royal. And the man who is from TNA that got the biggest reaction
Yeah.
was unceremoniously eliminated first from this battle royal. Now, let me just say this. I understand that there could be more to this. He did cut a promo after the match saying that this is the last you've seen of Joe Hendry in
Okay.
NXT. So I am hopeful in that respect. But just kind of looking at the segment itself, and you see that the insane reaction that the NXT crowd gave to Joe Hendry when he came out. And for him to be eliminated, they had to censor out bullshit chant from the crowd after that happened. It just to me
They do
it
that.
didn't feel worth it. Like I felt like there could have been another way to kind of screw over to screw over Joe Hendry that wouldn't have pissed off the fans that much if they wanted to further something with him.
Who eliminated him? Refresh my memory here.
It was Kazarian
Oh
after
yeah,
like everybody attacked him.
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Uh,
Yeah, man. I
I
just
mean, I
thought,
know they're feuding in TNA, so I guess it makes a bit of sense, but it could have waited a little bit longer.
yeah, I just think that, I mean, he's already out, like he's in his wrestling gear and everything. Like, have him do something in the ring before, like, the man as much as Joe Hendry has caught on for his entrance song and his entrance video and just that whole entrance presentation. He is a very underrated mat wrestler. And I just think that
Yeah,
they were selling themselves short by not having him go out there and do like 3 to 5 minutes of work before like getting fucked over. And that really, I can only imagine that it pissed off the NXT crowd.
well,
After
I
wrap.
mean, yeah, it did.
Well, yeah, it did, but like it specifically for him not like being able to go out there and wrestle.
Yeah.
It's just it was a miss to me, and I think they kind of have to make it up to the fans for that. Don't you feel that way, Dan?
I mean, it was bad booking. I think if they course correct by having him back on the show in some capacity, uh, in a match, but against two. I mean, if you want to have a match where he gets to go 10 minutes and then Kazarian interrupts or something, sure, whatever, that's fine. But yes, we do deserve to see Joe Henry wrestle.
Yeah. And I also want to say too, I think that I think Joe Henry's the next guy in TNA, like in terms of like winning the world championship. I think he's the one that's going to end up beating Moose. I think they see just the amount of money that he can bring to them and the attention And I'm calling it. I think he's the one that ends up beating Moose and further his profile even more.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
But aside from all that stuff, I just also wanted to mention a couple other things that happened on NXT.
Sure.
I think that Javon Evans is just such a diamond that they found
Yeah,
of
man.
signing. Like he is just so much bounce to everything that he does in the ring. And to put him in these like main events already as a 20-year-old, it just speaks volumes. I thought him and Ethan Page killed it. This was Ethan Page's first win on NXT. They were obviously selling that Javon Evans was like very banged up because he won the Battle Royal earlier on the show.
Which we've neglected to mention because we spoke so much about Henry, which I was
Right.
gonna say.
Mhm.
But yeah, he's
He's special.
there's a lot of special in him. I don't see him winning the title quite yet,
I
but he
mean,
is definitely,
he's
in that
overachieving.
he's overachieving and for good reason, right? Like
Right.
everything he does is smooth and special.
Mhm.
So I'm excited to see him wrestle Trick because, you know, Trick is going to be a good fucking, base for him.
Well, I think that what happens here with Ethan Page getting the win over Javon Evans, he has a case to be a part of the title match.
Sure.
So I do think that it's going to end up being a triple threat match.
Sure.
And I see more potential of Ethan Page winning the title here than the last match that they had against.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I thought a surprise was coming and Ethan Page was going to win in his first match. But maybe Javon Evans is there to Javon. I'm not sure how to pronounce it. I always forget.
I think it's
However
Javon
it is,
Evans.
Javon. Whoever it is, down the line, he is going to be in the picture in a lot more than a triple threat capacity.
Mm-hmm. I agree. Um, yeah, yeah, I think he's going to get a lot of shine there, and he's in there with two really really good talents. So yeah, we'll have to see what becomes of that. Another
I'm
thing
ready.
that I wanted to mention is we talked about Kalani Jordan being a surprise women's North American champion.
For
Um,
sure.
dude, she's so good, and like they had mentioned, and this is just something that I never noticed until like the commentary team referred to it. I
Uh-huh.
guess she's very influenced by Rob Van Dam, and then I just
I've
started,
seen that online. Yeah.
yeah, I just started noticing it in her offense, and
Okay.
I'm just like, all right, you know what? There isn't really a lot of women out there that are bringing that kind of style to the ring. So like, I think that already she is somebody that just brings something different.
Yeah.
And I mean,
Mixing
I'm
it up
excited to see
with
more.
mixing it up and getting wins over veterans is good for her profile
Mhm.
too, right? And she can cut a nice little, rah rah promo. She's not bad at it. So, sky's the limit. I like that women's North American Championship a lot. I think it'll be good for them. I've always, you know, been an advocate for a title like that. I always
Yeah,
said a women's intercontinental title, but
women's mid card
same
title has been needed for a long time.
same thing. I think that this is going to be give a lot of opportunity to a lot of women, um, and I think it's really good.
Yeah, absolutely. I don't have a lot more to say about NXT from this week.
Sure.
So Dan, if you want to just take it into Dynamite, yeah, let's do that up, man.
Absolutely. So first off, they released the ratings, and I'm not a ratings guy, but this show did not do well. That's all
Which
I'll
is
say.
which is surprising because I thought it was a really really good show.
I will
Um,
completely agree. I think
and
this
I
is one of the stronger shows in a while.
Yeah, and I read that report too, Dan, and it seems like the Warner Brothers executives are not really that concerned about it. They said that there was a lot of factors that were at play
It's still a
that could
good
have
number,
contributed to
man.
it.
Like
You know,
500,000 people watching something, and that a rating still just doesn't. And that's why the system is flawed, right? Like I feel
Mhm.
like what's his name from Anchorman. you you know it doesn't account for houses with two television sets. Uh, but no, like everybody streams everything.
Yeah.
So I'm not part of a rating system. My
Mhm.
rating doesn't count. I watch it every single week, and I know you do the same.
It's
You know what I mean?
it's just
So
kind of silly, just how they still hold this flawed metric in such high regard and as such like a very weighted measure and looking at how well a show is doing. It's
if
just
you
it's
want to, if you genuinely want to judge how AEW is doing, I would do it off pay-per-view buys because
Mhm.
that is quantifiable,
Yeah,
right? Somebody puts their credit card down, they pay, they get it,
right.
right? Like there you go.
I agree with
So
that. Yep.
it's the most quantifiable number you could do. You know, you could just say, hey,
Mhm.
there it is, and I think that they do pretty well in that regard. So, um, and even more people watch it in a legal way. So,
Yes.
regardless, this show kicked
Yeah.
off with a pay-per-view quality match, in my opinion.
100%.
MJF versus Roosh, slugfest from the jump.
This was a fucking blast, bro. This just reaffirmed to me this is a match that I want to show people. Okay, I'm jumping over my words a little bit on this podcast, but bear with me. Um, this is the match that you show people in order to defend Roosh for people that aren't really that into him.
Who like I don't understand why people are so down on Roosh. Why is that?
I think for just in terms of like the last couple of weeks, for just for the sole fact that he's been paired up with MJF, and they think that he's not really in the same stratosphere. Maybe he isn't, but like
He was
I have no problem being like a TV feud for a few weeks.
he was
You
one of the
know,
longest reigning Ring of Honor
about our
world
champions.
champions ever.
Absolutely,
So to
absolutely.
me, it's foolish for anybody to say he doesn't belong with him because he
Hmm.
absolutely belongs with him, especially in the ring. Roosh is just a bully
He
and
is,
fantastic.
yeah, and he
So
plays his role perfectly. Like
I was
he's a movie villain,
yep yep.
100%.
Um, I was actually surprised it didn't take more to put Roosh away. Just the Heat Seeker and a Brain Buster.
I thought
But
so too, and I think that MJF might be using that brainbuster as a finish going forward. And
yeah,
I'm not against it because I think he does it really, really well.
he does. It's a
Um,
shoe drop. It's really good.
mhm. Yeah,
Um,
yeah,
but after this match, we had Cage of Agony appear on the big screen, and they say that at Forbidden Door, MJF will be facing Hechicero.
yeah.
I am. I know people are down on this.
I know.
It's it's one of those who's Hechicero, but it's going to be another one of those things where people are like, why is Roosh in there with MJF right now? And
Bro,
people,
as
the
yeah,
same thing will happen.
I think so too. And like as soon as this was announced, the first thing that came to my mind was just like, oh my God, people are going to be so fucking pissed off about this. And I could give a fuck because I think that this is going to be an awesome match. I think that Hechicero, when he appeared on the screen, just it oozed a lot of charisma
He's got a lot.
with
He's got a
with his
presence. He's
with
got a
his
presence.
presence and his delivery. And this is a cross promotional pay per view,
Yep,
so people need to fucking chill. Like
absolutely.
this is the theme of the pay per view. MJF just happens to be participating this time around because he
Yep.
was kind of not really. He was kind of sitting out the other forbidden doors that have happened.
Yeah,
Um, because he was
because he
more in
was.
character. Like I don't need to
Yeah.
be facing these guys outside of our company. But he's a baby face right now. I think Hechicero is a great opponent. I think just when you think about the first two like major opponents that he's had since he's come back, Roosh and Hechicero, two guys from Mexico. This is just kind of a different MJF than what we've seen. I think that he is going to have like a much broader resume of opponents for this year going forward. Excuse me. But I'm really excited about this, and I think it's going to be an awesome match.
I am in complete agreement with you. I'm glad that he is getting outside of what somebody might say is his comfort zone, but I think
Yeah,
that he can wrestle with anybody.
that's a
Um,
great way to put it, Dan. This is MJF getting out of his comfort zone with these like first two matches that are happening.
I think he's
And
leaning
like
a little heavy on the Stone Cold sort of vibe, in my opinion,
maybe a little bit, yeah,
a little
sure.
bit. But that's me being nitpicky, really.
Mhm.
Honestly, he's come back like a house on fire, and I am very, very excited to see what he does at Forbidden Door and who he's going to feud with going forward. Because that match against Roosh that's a hot dog for me, man.
It was a great one. I would give it a hot dog too. And I like the pairing of Hechicero with Cage of Agony.
Yeah,
That works.
and can I say that shout out John, Brian Cage didn't make me cringe when he cut his promo.
No, he's doing all
Uh,
right. I
yeah,
like Brian Cage.
me too. Me too. I just like to fuck with our boy. All right, so next up we had the face to face between Swerve and Will Ospreay. A lot of back and forth at the beginning that was really good delivery, but kind of stuff that we've heard before. It got to the point where it got personal, where I was like, all right, I'm sold.
Yeah,
Like,
man.
it,
These guys, for people to like, see this match announced so early, and even myself being like, I don't know if they should just be doing this so soon. For two extraordinary in-ring bell-to-bell workers, they certainly, bought my ticket with their words through
here's
this
what I'll
back
say
and forth.
about too soon though, and I want to your point, like it may be too soon, but you never know what's going to happen in this business,
No.
right? So why not give it, like, if you can build it in a short period of time to the point where, like this past Wednesday, they gave that fantastic back and forth emotional promo in a short period of time, then give us these matches that, we're not promised in the future,
Hmm.
right? Injuries happen, people leave promotions, things happen, like you don't know, especially the way a guy like Will Ospreay wrestles. Obviously I'm not wishing harm on him, but you never know what's going to happen. So if you have
Yeah,
the chance to give us this fucking heater of a match, give it to us,
let's do it.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
I'm still not for changing the championship. I'm not
I'm
really
not either.
for Swerve dropping the belt here to Osprey.
Me
I
either.
do think that is better long-term storytelling for
Correct.
Osprey's first time around. He comes
Hmm.
up short.
Hmm.
But like you said, anything can happen. If Osprey wins, I mean, I don't feel like I'm not
No.
pissed. I'm a little disappointed that Swerve's run is coming to an end, not getting his first title defense on pay-per-view. That wouldn't quite sit well with me. But if it's
Of course.
happening because of Osprey, I can live with it a little bit more.
I'm absolutely not pissed if either guy wins. I'll
Yeah.
state it for the record right now. I
Mhm.
prefer Swerve to win. I prefer the long term of Will getting back to that point and then winning the title down the line. I don't think that Osprey's the right guy to take it off Swerve here, especially not at Forbidden Door. I just don't think it's the time.
Yeah.
Maybe they run it back. Maybe Swerve stays champion till Wembley, and Osprey wins the Owen, and they run it back, and that's when Will wins, right? Maybe that's the way it goes. Who
Is
knows?
Osprey? I don't think Osprey's in the Owen Hart. tournament.
I thought he was.
I don't think so.
No, I guess he's not.
Yeah.
For some reason, I that was wishful thinking on my
Mhm.
part.
Yeah.
All right. Well, regardless, yeah, that came off pretty dumb. Now that because it did start this past week. So, but next up we had what am I skipping over? Oh, we're skipping over the Callis family back there arguing.
Yeah. I liked this because I was thinking about how Kyle Fletcher would be reacting to everything that Callis was saying,
Mhm.
because obviously Fletcher has had a pre-existing relationship with Osprey before this whole Callis family thing
Correct.
began,
Yep,
the
the
United
United Empire.
Empire and all.
Yep.
Yeah, so I'm interested to see ultimately when Osprey separates from the Callis family, where does Kyle Fletcher's allegiance lie?
I hope they keep United Empire together. That's what I hope.
I think they are still they are together in New Japan.
Yeah, but I mean, like with Osprey and
Aussie Open.
Kyle and Aussie Open. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's
I
what I
wonder
would
how
like to
Mark
see.
Davis is doing, and I wonder how he's going to be figured in now that like Kyle Fletcher has gone on this singles run
Yeah, I mean, Kyle Fletcher went on that mini singles run a while back,
years
and
ago.
has
Yeah.
had to do it, between injuries to Mark Davis, sadly, unfortunately,
Hmm.
and they've always come back as a tag team. So it would be, in my opinion, I think that that's what they should and will do. So,
I hope so.
uh, but anyways, um, what we had next was the All Star 8-man tag. Briscoe, OC, Dante Martin, and Kyle O'Reilly versus Roddy, Zack Sabre Jr., Kyle Fletcher, and Takeshita.
Oh
Uh,
my god, bro! The promo before this match happened.
Give him the
I
mic every week.
give
Just
him
give
the
him the
mic
mic.
every week, and
Just
I
let him
love.
cut
I was,
45
who
seconds.
I was paying attention to the whole time was Kyle O'Reilly.
Yep.
Because when Renee Young was talking, like he was just shaking his head, no, 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 and then like she gave the mic to Mark Briscoe, and immediately he was like
Yep.
shaking his head up and down,
Yeah.
and Mark was just spewing out gold.
As
The
usual. As
line was
usual.
just like, what did he say to Jack Perry? What was the line?
Get your ass out of here, Jack Perry.
Get your ass out of here, Jack Perry. Yeah,
Um,
it was
yeah,
amazing.
it's a fantastic shtick. Just everybody just being gobsmacked by Briscoe, and
Yeah.
Orange Cassidy still just kind of not knowing where he's at and giving Renee a bracelet.
Hmm.
But but anyway, onto the match. Um,
It was,
Everybody in this match was just on point here,
yeah.
uh, all the way through.
Mhm.
And truthfully, I can't wait for both the ladder match now and OC versus Zack Sabre Jr. That's what these are supposed to do, and it did it.
Yeah, 100%. And then the inclusion of both Kyle O'Reilly and Roderick Strong in this match just makes anything better.
Of course.
Um, but yeah, this was great. I thought that Dante had a lot of nice shine in this match. It was a good showcase for Zack Sabre Jr. Um, and
Everybody, as they say, got their shit in.
yeah, yeah, absolutely. And I liked how after the match, that little fucking shit stain Jack Perry came out and ultimate heel move took out Dante Martin.
Yeah. Jack Perry's definitely winning that match.
I hate that.
When are they having
Hate it.
the last qualifiers for the um the ladder match? Because I know they're still down two people for it, correct?
Um,
Or are they
yeah,
winning?
I don't know. I think maybe sometime next week.
Hmm, I hope so.
I think.
I don't even know who else is going to be going for it.
Hmm.
Uh, And by the way, not to backtrack, but who do you think that wild card is going to be in the Owen?
Um,
Now that I actually know the brackets, because, well,
I think it's
hashtag
going to
prepared.
be someone kind of close to the Hart family. I think they're going to do one off with Harry Smith.
Huh. Okay. They could pull
Hmm.
that off and get me excited for that. I like
Hmm.
Harry Smith. Okay.
Yeah,
Interesting choice. Interesting choice.
I'm just thinking in respect to the family and who
Yeah.
would be close to Owen Hart and stuff, because that's exactly why Jeff Jarrett's in the tournament.
Yeah, I was gonna say that's kind of why Jeff Jarrett's in the tournament, but I
Yeah.
didn't. I expected whoever coming in was gonna beat Jeff Jarrett.
Oh
That's what I
yeah,
expect.
I think that's going to happen. Um, but I'm gonna guess Harry Smith. Yeah,
I think.
because
I
he's the
think.
only one that's like not under contract anywhere else.
Yeah.
Who's like still active. Obviously, it's not going to be Teddy Hart.
If it's Teddy Hart,
Jesus Christ.
I'm done.
Yeah.
I'm out. You're here. If the wild card is Teddy Hart, yeah, wrestling has officially ended.
Yeah.
It's over for
It
me.
is,
It's a wrap. Although I'll tell you, the documentary about him is fucking fascinating.
the Peacock shit that they put out.
Yeah,
It was so hard to watch.
it was
Like
fascinating.
you know what? That was just one of those things that just should have been like an hour long uh deal rather than
Maybe,
like an episodic like 10
maybe,
episode
but
thing.
man, it caught my attention. I
Yeah.
watched the whole shit.
Hmm.
Ugh, that
That poor cat.
poor cat. Poor everything.
What's the cat's name again? Mr.
I don't remember. I don't want to remember. I tried to put it out of my mind, but I
Yeah.
was sucked in at the time. I can tell you that much.
Hmm.
Um, but next up, Roosh pissed off backstage gets greeted by Don Callis. What says you here?
Interesting. That's what I say.
Very. If
Because
they're gonna have to replace Kyle Fletcher,
well, I mean, then you have a stable of Takeshita, Roosh, Powerhouse Hobbs. Like those three alone in a stable with each other is just like holy fuck. And then you add Trent into it too.
yeah,
Very interesting.
yeah, that's a lot of meat.
Hmm. Yeah, but well, also when I saw this happening too, I just kind of assumed to myself is like, is that does that mean the whole legato thing is over?
You mean Los Ingobernables?
Oh yeah, whatever. Fuck.
Uh,
Um,
it must be.
I think that would be a good thing because like it just felt like in that stable, particularly Preston Vance was just kind of playing a character that he
It
wasn't.
felt forced. It felt
It felt
forced.
extremely forced. Like I
Yeah.
feel like that's a guy that I think that they could start fresh with again and just do something
Yeah.
else with him.
Absolutely. That
Yeah,
dude's good as hell in the ring and he's got the look. Yeah.
he's a beast. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, for sure.
Hmm.
No doubt about that. But anyways, next up we had the AEW World Tag Team Championship Eliminator match, Young Bucks versus the Acclaimed. These teams have good chemistry, and I'll tell you what, man, Bowen's selling that leg the whole time.
I hear you, and I thought that the match was fantastic, but we cannot go without the beautiful moment that happened before this match with Okada working behind the
Okay.
soundboard,
Okay.
cutting out the rap. And
Okay.
dude, Okada's fucking hilarious. Shibata's fucking hilarious. What is going on here? Like people if they want to like Okada needs to be treated more seriously. I think he is being treated seriously, but he's just adding another layer of his personality during
This
this heel
is
run, and it's just so fucking funny. It's so great.
like, here's
And
the thing. If anybody is saying that Okada needs to be treated more seriously, doesn't stop and realize that Okada came in with creative control. He's
did he
doing what
really?
I mean, I'm not saying he came in with full
Not
creative
Hulk Hogan
control,
style.
not
Yeah,
Hulk Hogan creative control, but you think that he doesn't want to be doing this? He loves
I think he's
this.
having a blast. I think
He
he's having a blast.
loves
Yeah,
this.
he would
Like,
do silly shit like this in New Japan, like backstage
yeah,
and stuff. You know,
he's having a blast, my
yeah.
friend. You want to say that Shinsuke's just on his retirement tour? That's exactly what Okada is doing.
hmm
Like he is just having a blast with his friends and doing
I
his shit.
I I don't see it quite in the same level of what Shinsuke's doing because I think that Okada is going to be AEW champion at some point.
You think so?
Whereas, yeah, absolutely. I think that Okada is just he's a bigger commodity to me than Shinsuke was when he got signed by WWE. Because like at this point, like Okada's been multiple time champion, has had multiple like match of the years. He is somebody that if you know New Japan Pro Wrestling, he had the name recognition, the first person that you would associate with it. I just
Yeah.
think that as much as I love Nakamura, I don't quite put them on the same level in terms of like their free agent signing.
What do you what kind of signing do you think it would be in a hypothetical world if AEW were to sign Nakamura now?
I mean, I think it would be a good signing. It's not going to have the same splash as Okada.
Okay.
It just won't.
Sure. No, I don't necessarily agree with you, but I don't think you're like off by saying it, right? You know what
Mhm.
I mean?
Yeah,
Uh, but yes, this was a fantastic match. I think we
yeah.
both sort of saw this as the ending here. With them,
Bowens did his best Ricky Morton impersonation in this match, and if you don't know what I mean by that, it's somebody that like is just getting their ass kicked the entire match, and then
yep,
eventually gets the hot tag, and you know they
yeah,
prevail in the end. And
he sold that leg so well the whole match,
yeah, yeah, for
like
sure.
crushed it.
hmm
I mean, the Bucks helped, right? The Bucks
Yeah.
are the best in the business because they knew how to take advantage of that leg to give him the opportunity to sell it. But uh, yeah,
The Bucks are so good; they were genuinely pissing me off every time they went and attacked Max Caster on the apron and threw him out of the ring, like during this match. You know, like I was just
the
like, "This is fucking bullshit." And then I was
yeah,
like, "Oh wait,
I know it's
they're
actually
working me. They're working me right now."
it's
Yeah,
fun to
okay,
get worked though. It
yeah,
really is legitimately fun to be worked from time to time. Like
I
just be
agree.
like, yeah, fuck these guys,
It's part of
man.
being a
I
wrestler.
hate that guy.
Yeah,
Fuck yeah.
absolutely.
Like
Mhm.
so um yeah, next up we had Samoa Joe and Hook and Shibata on the camera jumping into the premier athletes locker room. This is probably my favorite thing going on AEW TV right now. Arguably, I love this group so very much.
Yeah, it's they're great. Um, I loved the surprise of Shibata behind the camera at the very
Yep.
end too. Um, but yeah, this is Premier Athletes. You know, they're gonna have a 3-on-3 match. I think that's good. I think
Yeah.
that this would be like I've said before on the show, I'm pretty high on Josh Woods. I think that
Correct.
he's somebody that like in this group could be like the one guy that's he's actually legit. You
Yeah.
know,
I mean, he was pure champion. Was it at least once, right?
yeah, in Ring of
If
Honor. And
yeah,
he's just got the look, he's got the intensity. I just think that this would be a really great match. Like, I'd like to see a competitive match, and I'd like to see or premier athletes be competitive because of Josh Woods putting them in that position. Not coming
yeah.
away with the win. Of
No.
course, it's not going to happen like that. But I want that's my hope for this showing is like because I like this stable, the premier athletes. I just think
Yeah.
they need the one like stalwart.
I think they're gonna get smoked, but
Yeah, I
that's
think so too.
besides the point.
Right.
I think they're gonna get their asses beat, and it's gonna be fun to watch.
Mhm.
But I like the stable too. I'm high on them, especially when you have Mark Sterling. Mark Sterling is very entertaining,
Yeah.
and good manager. So.
Hell yeah. Shout out
Uh,
Beyond Wrestling.
Yeah. Next up, AEW Women's World Championship contract signing for Forbidden Door for between Tony Storm and Mina Shirakawa, hosted by Mariah May. All this really is well, chance a horny break for everybody.
it
That's really all it
really
was.
it really was, man. Good lord. Just so much innuendo here of romance and whatnot. You just watch the segment yourself. We don't need to like articulate
Yeah.
break down what was really going on right here. But these two women as athletes, as two women that have wrestled each other before in
Mhm.
stardom, I think that Tony and Mina are going to put on an awesome match with each other.
It's gonna be. I think it's low key gonna be one of the matches of the night.
I think so too. I think so too. And I love the dynamic of Mariah May has to choose. I think ultimately she is going to choose Tony.
Yeah.
But I love how they're setting this up. And along the way, we got another week out until Forbidden Door happens. They get attacked by the Outcasts, who now have a new member. It's Anna Jay. That kind of works, if
Sure.
I'm being honest.
Yeah.
So I think they're gonna do a 6 women tag match, I would imagine, right? Tony, Mina, Mariah against the Outcasts.
I believe they're doing it tomorrow night on Collision,
Collision.
if I'm not
Okay.
mistaken. Uh,
Hmm.
yeah. If not, then it's next week on Dynamite. It's one or the other. They showed the
Yeah.
graphic for it. I just don't remember what show it said it was going to be on. So
Hmm. Um, I guess another thing I'd like to say is that I think Mina has made such an impression over the past month
oh
of
yeah.
on
Well,
AEW television that yeah, and
well,
you know how.
yeah.
But she is there's gonna be demand for her
I
to
had to I had to throw in the horny police meme in our group chat because of the segment. So or last week's segment.
yeah, of
So I'm just saying, there's a reason why it's popular, but she is
course.
supremely entertaining outside of
Yeah.
just her dress.
Mm-hmm. 100%.
So
Straight, warm-blooded American men. And we can't help ourselves sometimes. So
happy Pride.
happy Pride to our
Uh
LGBTQIA friends.
yes, happy Pride.
Hmm.
Indeed. And that is not with any ounce of
And that
sarcasm.
no, and
No,
yeah,
we're pro
and
LGBTQ on
fuck
this.
all those people. I love the Roman Reigns meme that's been going on that says straight white men during Pride Month, and it's Roman Reigns acknowledge me.
Oh
It's so
well,
true. It's so
I
true.
we are terrible, a terrible section of humanity. That is
Yeah,
true, but we try and do our best to
yeah. We
acknowledge
try to
everybody
hold it down.
that
Yeah.
is worth acknowledging, and
Hmm.
typically those white men are not. But anyway, I digress. Let's go back to the show. Chris Statlander versus Nyla Rose in a Owen Hart Women's Tournament quarterfinal match.
Oh,
Um, this was this match makes you just remember how strong Chris Statlander truly is.
definitely. My takeaways from this match is first of all, I knew that they were in Nyla's close to Nyla's hometown. They were in Virginia, close by
Yeah.
Washington D.C., where she's from.
Uh-huh.
Um, we've said it before on the show. We're aware of her online personality, and I think that they would really do themselves a big favor if they just turned Nyla face and had her be her silly self on
Yeah.
television. So I'll take that. Obviously, she was facing a heel and Chris Statlander. I
Mhm.
thought that Chris Statlander's entrance presentation was fucking awesome.
Really
Uh,
fucking cool, right?
I like how she just kind of like picks up Stokely and stuff, and
Yeah.
you know, he's like her little bitch.
Yes.
And yeah, hitting the tombstone was really cool on Nyla.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was
And I
awesome.
think after this we had Willow on the big screen, and they are likely on a collision course in this tournament, so that should be good. I
Yeah,
kind of think it should have been at the final. They should have put them on the opposite side of the brackets.
I agree with that too.
Truthfully,
Yeah,
but we're still going to get the match, and it's still going to be emotional, and maybe it's not the last because this has been a pretty heated feud. So I don't think one match in a tournament like this is going to be the end of it, in
yeah.
my opinion.
I don't think so either. I think I can see like maybe Willow gets over on Chris Stat, or the other way around in the first match, and
Yeah,
it's with controversy. Um, I guess more conceivably, I could see Chris Stat going over for that reason,
yeah,
and then they have their big blow off match. You know,
no DQ.
after no DQ after that.
Yeah,
Um, but AEW is giving me a reason to tune into Rampage this week. We got Serena Deeb against uh, Willow Nightingale in the first round of the Owen
hmm
Hart Women's Tournament.
yeah, that's going to be a really good match, and obviously I think Willow's going to win, but I'm going to watch Rampage after SmackDown tonight because
Yeah,
I'll actually be watching live.
me
I
too, my
I think,
friend. Yes.
but all right. After this, we had a backstage segment with Private Party that was interrupted by Chris Jericho.
Yeah,
I don't want
we
to
can
talk any
skip it,
further
Dan.
about it.
We
I don't
can
want
skip it,
to.
Dan.
And then we had uh, squash match. Essentially, we had Daniel Garcia versus Rhett Titus. I don't really like when they use Rhett Titus in squash matches, personally. Um,
I mean, like, I've kind of learned to accept it because I think that he's just kind of someone that works backstage. His Ring of Honor career, uh, I would say his biggest moment happened right before it ended, when he was part of the foundation and was getting
yeah,
like really good shine. And I think that from there, like, we kind of thought that there was going to be more to Rhett Titus going somewhere else. And um, but
yeah,
it is what it is. He's obviously there because he makes people look really, really good, and I thought he made Daniel
correct.
Garcia look really good in this match.
Fantastic,
Yeah,
fantastic.
but I'll just jump ahead here, Dan. They
Sure.
were attacked by the Gates of Agony. Gates of Agony actually came out and they attacked Daddy Magic. This led to Hechicero coming out as well, attacking Garcia, and then you got a save by MJF. But ultimately, the numbers game played in, and Osprey came in and helped out MJF. And
Yeah,
but
bro.
but it was later revealed that Osprey was out there because he wanted to help out Daniel Garcia, and he could give fuck all about MJF.
Yeah, the stare down was pretty monumental, if I
Hmm.
don't
I agree with
say
that.
so myself. So
Hmm.
I do say so myself.
Good stuff, cool stuff. And I guess this past week, Daddy Magic and Cool Hand Ange got a shot at the Ring of Honor tag team titles. I was really hoping that would be a title change, but wasn't to be.
Yeah. Oh well. Maybe
Yeah,
next time.
maybe something interesting will happen on Ring of Honor television sometime. Who knows?
Someday, some chance.
Yeah,
Hopefully.
yeah.
When it does, let me know. I'll start watching again. Unfortunately, until
Hmm.
then, I don't have the time. So next up, we had the interview backstage. Renee Paquette talking to Will Ospreay, Brian Cage chasing after him,
Hmm.
leads to Will giving him a title match on Collision tomorrow. Um, so I guess that's official for tomorrow for the international. So there you go, John. Should be a dream match for you, my friend.
I think they faced each other before at some point.
Yeah, I'd imagine with guys with long international careers like that,
I
I
want to
can't
say
imagine they
they
haven't.
may have had like a PWG match against each other or something.
Yeah. But, all right. So next up, the main event, we had the Owen Hart Foundation Men's Tournament. First match in quarterfinal, Claudio Castagnoli versus Pac, with Brian Danielson on commentary. Um, these two have wicked chemistry. They've wrestled before.
Multiple times.
You know, so this was a really quality tournament match. This was a really quality TV main event. Um, I might have main evented with MJF and Roosh personally, just because it's MJF.
Yeah, I think obviously the thought with MJF and Roosh was they wanted a really hot start to the show.
And they got it.
Right, right.
Well,
It
clearly
was
they didn't get enough of a hot start because it was not a good
because of the
rating,
rating.
and
Right,
ratings
right,
count.
right. But yeah, I think when I saw this match going on, I automatically said to myself, "This is like the battle of the underrateds." These
Yeah,
are just like two guys that you can kind of insert into the main event at any time, and nobody will blink an eye. But they're not really the first people that you ever think of. Uh,
they're the battle of guys that Vince McMahon should love but didn't.
yeah, yeah. But it was a great match, and
Fantastic match.
I think that like I kind of had a feeling that Pac was going to win once the multiple near falls was happening, and they were going back
Yeah,
and forth with the roll ups and stuff, and I felt like that was really the only way conceivably that people would believe Pac beating Claudio.
I
Uh,
don't know, man. That Rings of Saturn that he does is pretty fucking badass. If he could have caught him in
it
that,
is, but like you're putting it on somebody who has been known as pound for pound, like the strongest.
yeah,
So if anyone can like break out of it, it would be someone like Claudio. But
sure.
I thought it was well executed,
Yeah.
and you're looking at that side of the bracket. I think we're gonna end up getting Pac
Mm.
versus Danielson, because it's Danielson versus Shingo is gonna happen.
Oh
Um,
God, I can't
if
fucking wait.
I will say this too, if Shingo ends up beating Danielson, Shingo versus Pac is a run back of the Dragon Gate years, because
Dragon
when
Gate,
Dragon
yep,
Gate was really big back in the day, like two of the biggest stars were Pac and Shingo Takagi.
yeah.
So
That's
like that would be a cool full circle moment. I think that Shingo versus Danielson is already a full circle moment, because when Shingo was just starting to get his feet wet in the wrestling business too, he did an excursion out to Ring of Honor back in like 2009 and tangled
uh-huh.
with a lot of different guys.
Yep,
And Danielson was one of them. And,
sure.
Danielson versus Shingo was one of the matches that really got me to pay attention to Shingo.
Yeah.
So I think that there's all kinds of stories that you can tell here
Hmm.
that are really cool. So yeah, and let me just say this too: Pac versus Danielson. That's a match I never knew I wanted, and I don't think we've ever gotten that match before. So
Really?
I don't think it's ever happened. I don't
Hmm.
think it has. If it has, I haven't seen it. So
Hmm.
yeah,
I don't
maybe
know,
it did
man.
happen like on the indies, like before Danielson got signed by WWE for the first time. Like
Maybe.
that, I feel
Maybe.
like that's like the only time period where it may have
Yeah.
happened, but who knows?
If
I don't.
anybody, if anybody knows, it's Tony Khan, and he'll plant some Easter egg somewhere somehow because he's clearly wrestling autistic.
Not that there's anything wrong with that.
There is
Um,
not. There is not no, none,
no.
nothing.
Mm-mm.
So, all right.
All
Well, I
right.
don't have
So
anything else on Dynamite.
I don't
I
really have
do.
anything else either. But Dan, let's wrap this up. I thought that wrestling this week was pretty freaking dope, and
Yeah.
we will bring the heat back next week. As always, guys, follow us on Instagram at Smarknado, on Twitter at Smarknado1. Leave us a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts. Go check out our link tree. We've got our YouTube there and our What a Maneuver store. Dan, you have anything left for us?
Eric, Shane McMahon to AEW, yes or no?
Do I have to answer based on my reaction there?
Stay fresh, cheese bags.
Keep watching wrestling. No Shane McMahon.